We appreciate you inviting us to participate in this. I think it's going to be an exciting session. We're looking at a new year, looking at a new decade, and of course we're looking at a new session. And we have some unfinished business from prior sessions, which I'm sure we'll talk about today. We're all excited to hear what the governor has to say in his State of the State address and see a little bit more what his agenda is. It was nice to be in here the last hour to hear what he had to say. We get a preview of that like maybe 2 hours before some people do. At the same time you do, actually. We get a little preview of that. But that's not enough time to make him change it. But we're all looking forward to that. But I think you'll see us working hard to work together, get the people's business done. And I'm talking about working together between the houses as well as between the parties. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that in years past, and we're going to continue with that. Thank you for the time.
Happy New Year to everybody. I'm probably going to look at this a little different. I was trying to put together what the governor just told us and anticipate what he's going to tell us on Monday. One of the things that I had a cautionary note when he talked about grocery tax and repeal. We have already been dealing with a tax cut of about 3 years ago, and we're asking our local governments and all agencies to do 1%, 2%, and 3% cuts. And I think we have a pretty efficient government. I know in my district, they're having a very difficult time managing themselves with everything from highway districts and healthcare and all of the things that they do with the monies that they have. And they have been asking for a local option tax for quite some time. And I think the legislature has a habit of punting down a lot of responsibility to the local governments without offering them a way to have revenue. So it'll be interesting to see about what we think that we are being inefficient on and what we can afford, because I know that we've spoken last year or this year about not having the kind of revenues coming in that we thought we would anticipate, and therefore I'm not sure if it's timely to be doing tax cuts this year. But as you know, when we go into an election cycle, we always talk about the particular wedge issues, and tax cuts always are part of that. So I'm pretty concerned, I would say, because I think that we are, with it being the fastest growing state in the nation, we've done nothing to anticipate infrastructure needs. And we have not gone up in our prices in the last 10 years from 51,000 to 56,000 is not a huge increase in medium wage increases. So our communities and our people are not thriving as much as we'd like to talk about. And so my wish for this session is to start having a reality check about what it is that we need to do in government on a statewide level to address what is going to impact us on a lot of different levels, from water and sewer and roads and healthcare and schools and all of the things that these populations are going to bring to us, and already compound some of the difficulty we're realizing. Thank you.
We're anxious to get started. I appreciated sitting through the governor's remarks earlier, and his list, I took some notes. It's very similar to my list that I had compiled in the run-up to this, and so I think there'll be a lot of issues. I mean, I can click through them, but I'm assuming that you'll come back to them.
I'll click through them for us, won't they?
I'll click through them for them. I mean, rules, redistricting, initiative, property tax, Medicaid funding, education task force recommendations, and transportations, with maybe an asterisk by local option for jails and / property tax relief. That's the start of my list. I don't have a big position on any of those. It was interesting to hear Governor Little talk about specifically on property tax, or excuse me, on local option, and back in the era and when we were across the street in the old courthouse, and that he had an RS that never got introduced, and but there was an RS that did get introduced, as I recall, and anyway, that may be a place where everyone starts again. I don't know. All of his concerns about local option, I think, are shared in at least the majority side, or some of the concerns are shared in the House committee. But, there's certainly going to be a lot of things to talk about. I was reminiscing, I look forward to the state of the state a lot more 8 or 10 years ago than I do now, because I know that, we will thank him for his recommendations, and then we will set the budget, and we'll do that in a way that is hopefully synergistic with the minority and the governor's office, but we'll go ahead and set it within his, not within his recommendations, but we'll take them into consideration as we make our decisions. And so I'm looking forward to it. I always keep thinking I'm going to get tired of this, but I never do. I really enjoy the process. I enjoy the interaction with our colleagues, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
I really appreciated some of the points that were flagged by the governor, in particular his ongoing emphasis on education. And of course, near and dear to my heart, I always particularly acknowledge his recognition of the importance of addressing climate change. I think this is going to be a very busy and I think very impactful session. Property tax concerns obviously at the front of mind. We've heard a lot about that from our constituents. I think there might be diverging views on what is causing the property tax crisis and how to address it. I am certainly hoping that we can take on reversing the elimination of the index property tax exemption and restore that. I think that created a huge burden on individual homeowners, and I'm hoping that's something we can get done. I'm also hoping we can do something to update the circuit breaker to address the concerns of seniors who are really getting slammed with property taxes and being pushed out of their homes. I hope that we do not address the property tax crisis by unduly tying the hands of local government. I think they are operating very leanly, as Senator Stennett indicated, and I think it would really not be doing our constituents a favor if we kneecap our local government in an effort to address local property tax issues. Education, I think, is very front of mind. I really appreciate the work done by the interim committee. I hope that we can make some progress on implementing some of their recommendations. Although at the heart of that is always revenue. And I have real concerns along those lines. I echo what Senator Stennett said. I think we are in a revenue bind right now. We are way below where we thought we were going to be. I think there was some tax cuts in the past that we couldn't afford that have led to an under-revenued situation for the state right now. We're seeing dropping literacy levels, and I think we're not going to be able to address these problems. Certainly not if we take on further revenue cuts, and we may need to revisit some of the revenue cuts that have been implemented in the past. It's creating a real problem. There are some very real needs that I think we're not going to be able to meet with the current. I hope I'm wrong on this, but I think it's going to put us in a bind. One thing that I really see a lot of potential for bipartisan work on this session is criminal justice reform, which I've seen a lot of opportunity to do bipartisan work on in the past. I think this is not a boutique issue. This is not something for civil liberties nuts or anything like that. This is something, that budget is becoming the budget that ate New York. It is impacting everything. I think it is impacting property taxes and local government's ability to function. It's impacting our ability to fund education. We cannot continue to be the highest incarcerator in the West with ever climbing costs and levels and be able to meet our other needs. There's incredible potential for fixing things in this area. There are so many things in our code that need fixing, so I'm hoping we can make a lot of progress in that area. I'm hoping to spend minimal time on defense this session, but I have heard enough whiffs that I hope we don't go down this path, but I think there will have to be some time defending our current bipartisan redistricting commission and our current ballot initiative process, but we'll see how all that unfolds. But I think there's an incredible amount of opportunity to work together to make things better for Idaho this session, so looking forward to it.